Yeah. Okay, David, you've sold many properties in the last 20 years. Based on what you've observed, what's the measure of success when it comes to integration and sustainability? I mean, some of these properties right now are run down or they've become irrelevant, but how do you measure them?
So I think the biggest metric for me would be how the market responds, and I'm gonna give a statement which has nothing to do with the fact that SMDC is here, right, or SM is here, but the fact that SM Prime and SMDC is the largest property company in the Philippines. It is the largest company by market cap in the Philippines. The fact that when Big Boy came up, Henry C. Jr. came up with this idea back in mid-2000, people were saying, you know, what the heck are you doing selling 20 square meter units, 25 square meter units? Who's going to live in these things, these massive buildings? Is there enough infrastructure, etc., etc., etc.? The first units in the Bay Area that they built. So I think the first project was Meza in the early 2000s, and then they built up to the first projects in the Bay. When they launched the first projects in the Bay, they were selling under 2 million pesos. Today, the same asset is worth 7 to 8 million pesos. Many times, I have gone publicly saying that actually in the last 15 years, one of the best, if not the best assets you could have bought were SMDC projects in the mid-2000s, in the mid to late 2000s, because no other condominium projects have appreciated the way they have in the last 12, 15 years as SMDC's projects. Yes. And that's a factor. And the second thing is, they have really democratized owning property, because the access to the big fancy pool, the access to the jogging path, the access to secured housing, meaning nobody's going to break into your house, was only made available at a scale that happened because of SMDC. They make those things available to the regular person.
Yes.
You can only access 25-meter pools, 50-meter pools in private high-end condominiums like Pacific Plaza or Juan Rojas or in the country club. Very, very exclusive. And that was democratized by SMDC. I mean, there were many condominium developers pricing themselves between 2 to 2.5 million, but they didn't provide those amenities the way SM has done. And I think the market has responded to that favorably when you look at the asset appreciation over the 12 years. So it's not a blip. It's a long-term sustainable event. And you also look at the stock price of SM. Yeah. Those two things validate the market.
Wow, that's brilliantly said. I have to say, Joe, I don't think you can get a better description on the metric success than that particular description. Now, Chris.